My name is Darcy Van Poelgeest. I'm the writer, co-creator of Precious Metal, and you're listening to the True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Darcy Van Poelgeest about the upcoming collection of Precious Metal from Image Comics. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button, so be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Darcy Van Poelgeest is an award-winning writer and director. He lives in Vancouver, British Columbia with his family and prefers to walk whenever possible. Darcy is the Harvey Award nominated, Eisner Award winning writer and creator of Little Bird, Precious Metal from Image Comics, Lotus Land from Boom Studios, and The Bright Queen from Critical Role Dark Horse. Precious Metal takes place 35 years before the events of Little Bird Volume 1, The Fight for Elder's Hope. Disillusioned mod tracker Max Weaver's routine hunt for a modified child takes a grisly and unexpected turn. Now, saddled with an unpredictable mod who may be the key to unlocking his missing memories, Max will soon find that he isn't the only one interested in the child's unique abilities. And if he wants to know more, it'll cost him everything. In fact, the future may well depend on it. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Darcy Van Poelgeest about the upcoming collection of Precious Metal from Image Comics. So, Darcy Van Poelgeest, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time. Before we get going with all the questions, I would like to know, what are you reading today? What's on your bedside reading table?
What is on my bedside reading table? Well, actually, it's a giant stack of the Doom Patrol. The second volume, which started with, I'm not going to be able to say it, Kupperberg? Yeah. Yep. Anyway, and then Grant Morrison took over at issue 19 or 20, I believe. So I own the entire series, and I haven't read it in many years. So I just decided to start with issue 1 and just go on that journey again.
Did the TV series at all inspire you to go back and read the comic books?
No, not at all. I've never seen the show.
Okay, there we go. We'll carry on. Very good. Very good. So
nothing against it. I just tend to,
Sure.
I keep, for the most part, I keep my comics in comics. I don't know why. I just kind of like it that way.
Well, sometimes there are different interpretations, I think, and they don't always seem the same. So I understand. So, reading about some of your online stuff, that noticed you were just at Fan Expo Vancouver. So, I'd like to ask you, how did that show go for you?
It was amazing, actually. That's a show that I've been doing pretty regularly since 2019, with the exception of, the pandemic cancellation. And it's kind of, I don't travel a lot. So that is like my home show, along with VanCaf, which is unfortunately not happening this year. But it was great. I get to see a bunch of familiar faces, and every year I bring more books than the last, thinking surely by this point people won't be interested anymore. And every year I sell out of all my books. So it seems to be growing each year, and this year was the busiest yet, for sure. It was awesome.
That's good to hear. Did you come back with any books?
I did. What did I get? I got one called Roman. Oh, geez, I'm not going to remember what it's called. Something Roman Killers or Roman Deaths or something. It's from a writer in Toronto, actually. And
Dead Romans.
Yeah, Dead Romans, that's it. Yeah.
By Fred Kennedy and Nick Marinkovich.
Yes, exactly. So I'm looking, it looked great, and they were sitting close by, so I got a nice hardcover of that. Yeah, I always try to pick up something from the tables close by, because I usually can't get too much further than that.
Yeah, that's a good one to have for sure. And those guys are characters, Fred and Nick, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess I met them both, and both super, super nice guys.
Absolutely. Now, the last time we met was at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. It seems like so long ago, I tell you. Yeah, but during that chat, you hinted about a new project that's tied to your previous book, Little Bird.
Mhm.
And I think that what you were trying to infer was precious metal. So I wonder if you could talk a wee bit about that. What's that book all about?
Yeah, I mean, so for those that are familiar with Little Bird and the world that we created there, Precious Metal is basically a new story set in the Little Bird world. And it goes back in time 35 years. So it's a prequel of sorts and really tells the story of a bit character in Little Bird, Max Weaver, who is at that time still in the States and is a mod tracker. So if you're familiar with the world, there's those strange looking people, creatures walking around, which we refer to as mods. We get to learn about where they came from, what they are. And Max was a mod tracker, essentially a bounty hunter who hunts down these mods when they take off from their owners. They're essentially in indentured um, servitude. One of them takes off, he goes after them. In this case, in the beginning of our story, he's tracking a kid who he discovers he has an unusual connection with. And inside the kid's mind, he holds Max's memories to his past, which he doesn't have. And so it becomes a sort of a personal connection, and therefore he breaks his contract and all hell breaks loose. Everybody wants a piece of this kid. It's a wild ride. And we've had a lot of fun doing it. It's a 6 issue series. All the issues are out now, and the trade paperback collection comes out, I think it's April 23rd in comic book shops.
Good stuff. You get to work again with Ian Bertram, your collaborator on the book. So I'm wondering, how was it? Was it just as easy as like jumping back into the saddle, so to speak, to work with him? Or was there a bit of like, yeah, it took a little bit of time to get up to speed, so to speak?
Well, both. It was very easy to just slide back into another book in most ways with Ian. At this point, we've been working together for many years. He knows my quirks and I know his, and we're a pretty like well-oiled machine when it comes to the collaboration side of things. I think that still took a bit of time just to sort of, even though it takes place in the same world as Little Bird, it's a very different kind of story. And I tend to, I guess the book, that I think my stories tend to feel like the protagonist. I put a lot of work into character, and so they're character driven, and therefore the feel of the book takes on the feel of the character. And that was certainly true in Little Bird, with about a young girl trying to find her place in the world. I feel like that the book feels that way, like I don't think it's something we would maybe describe as it wouldn't be the first thing you'd think of when you think of a coming of age story, but it very much is. So when it came to Max Weaver, with him being a bounty hunter, the book has that feel. It's got a slightly more of a noir sort of feel to it. So I think that we both adapted our styles a little bit. So in that sense, we had to kind of rethink things in the beginning stages of Precious Metal. But as far as the collaboration goes, yeah, we were right back in it. I feel like everyone, somehow leveled up from our previous book, and we managed to do something pretty special that I'm pretty proud of.
Just getting back to it, I mean, you want, I think, as a creator to challenge yourself for the next book as opposed to just rehashing the same old thing again, even though that's what fans would probably want, right? You want to give yourself a little bit of a challenge.
Oh God, yeah. I don't think I could do it the easy way, even if I wanted to. I have to be challenged by the work in order to do it. The drive for me is not there to get out of when you're an artist, writer, you're setting your own schedule. You can sleep your days away and do nothing with it, or you can, and starve to death, I suppose. Or, for me, I'm up at 6:30 every morning at the keyboard. And in order to keep that sort of level of dedication and commitment, I have to be challenged by the work. I have to feel as though, in some sense, that I'm not going to be able to do this. Yeah, so it was a challenge, and that's the only way we do it. And we definitely had no interest. I mean, we talked about that, and Ian and I before we sort of jumped in that, we had no interest in just, you know, hey, here's more Little Bird since you love that, and it would have been an easier sell. It probably would have sold more, but no, we wanted to come up with something that kind of stood on its own and challenged us in new ways.
Right. As a writer and creator, do you set aside, you mentioned 6:30. Are you like Stephen King where you set aside a certain time of day and say, during this time period, that's all I'm going to do is just write and then you get up and walk away? Or is it whenever the mood strikes you?
No, I have a very regimented routine, which is, just I require as a human. But yeah, no, I work that way. I get up at 6:30. I put the coffee on and I start writing immediately. I don't eat anything. I don't get changed. I just stay in whatever I slept in and just get to work. And I'll go kind of straight writing till around 11 o'clock. Oh, I take the dog out for a pee first.
That's
And then,
important.
yeah, and then I'll go to about 11 o'clock. And at 11 o'clock, I shower, I eat breakfast, I take the dog for his next walk. And if nothing, too crazy is going on, I'll do some more writing. But quite often at that point, it's noon and I'm kind of getting sucked into the emails and fielding things from publishers and or collaborators, and I guess just kind of fall into the business side of it. But I'm very productive of my mornings as my dedicated writing time. I have to stick to a very specific routine. So yeah, it's coffee and writing, and then a certain kind of granola with a certain kind of yogurt, and it just my day goes like that.
Yeah, it's a good work ethic to have. A lot of people don't have it, so I'm more power to you for sure. Now, I know that you mentioned that you wanted to stay away from Little Bird when you did Precious Metal, but do you think you'd ever go back to the Little Bird universe again in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In my ideal world, we'll be doing Little Bird Book Two at some point, which is, again, a very sort of Little Bird is a protagonist, but it becomes a different kind of story. And I think as long as we're not just adding issues to make sales, then it's interesting. That's kind of the idea is that there's going to be a Little Bird Book Two, and then basically Precious Metal and Little Bird Book One and Two those three works will complete the overall saga that we've been building up.
Nice. Now, beyond those books, do you have any other projects on the go that you can talk about, that you're allowed to talk about even?
Yeah, well, Ian and I are doing another series together. It's outside of the Little Bird Precious Metal universe. We wanted to, funny, we were just sort of laughing to ourselves, laugh slash crying to ourselves a little bit the other day that, like, I think in our own minds, we sort of thought that Precious Metal was going to be like, I think I envisioned it being more of like a commercial work than maybe it turned out. It turned out, I think, a bit stranger than I thought it was going to, but I shouldn't be surprised. And so we kind of dreamed up this weird thing that we were going to do next, just as a totally like, oh, this one's for us. So that, anyways, that's what we're working on now, and it's far more strange, I think, and interesting. So yeah, that's what it is, and it's titled The Carmen Blade, and it's
Okay.
sort of a more of like a pure fantasy folklore thing, and it's just short, 4 issues. So yeah, we're having a absolutely amazing time doing it.
Glad to hear.
And then I've had a graphic novel in the works with an artist named Aaron Connolly, who's a watercolor artist. And this is very different. It's like a kind of a romantic, gothic kind of tale, period piece. Aaron is a watercolorist, just incredible, just an amazing artist. We've been working on that for a few years, and that's also going to come out through Image, and we're getting really close to being done that. And there are a few more things happening that I cannot talk about at the time.
Okay. Enough said, for sure. Now, we were talking about Vancouver Expo. I'm wondering, do you have any other plans for other conventions or festivals for later this year?
I'm not a big convention goer to begin with, but certainly with that asshat Donald Trump in power, I'm not sure I'm interested in going south of the border for anything, especially probably conventions. But who knows? I may eat my words there. But I did apply for the Toronto Comic Arts Festival, which I was at last year. I mean, that's where we met, I think.
Yeah,
So I'm hoping to return again there this year.
sounds good.
Yeah.
So, for everything you have on the go, both today and the future, where do you recommend that people go online to find out about everything you got going on?
Well, I have a very periodic newsletter on Substack that I would recommend signing up for if you're interested in keeping up. I might just send something once every couple of months, but I'll always let people know when something new is coming out or an appearance. Or I'm on Instagram as well. So probably either of those is a good spot.
Sounds good. Well, Darcy, those are all the questions I have for you, but I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
If anybody's listening that has read my work, just know that how much we appreciate you. And I hope that everybody is making some time to take care of themselves. I think it's a challenging time in the world and we can't lose ourselves in it. So I hope that people are taking time to, take walks outside, meditate, just get fresh air and clear their head. Don't spend too much time online and read.
Thanks to Darcy for the chat. You can discover more about Darcy Van Poelgeest online at darcyvanpoelgeest.com and on Instagram at instagram.com/dvpdirect. And thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit the True North Country Comics website to listen to even more conversations with creators and their insight on making comic books and graphic novels. I also encourage you to subscribe via the website so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. You can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media sites, and you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to John at truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2025.